All right, so we are finally getting to dive into this story.
Yeah.
The Israelites crossing the Jordan River and the conquest of Jericho.
Really important moment.
Hugely important moment.
Yeah.
You shared chapters 4, 5, and 6 of the book of Joshua with us.
Yes.
So
A lot to unpack.
let's unpack it. I
Yeah.
mean, where do we even begin, I guess, for me, when I was reading these chapters? The thing that stood out right at the beginning were those 12 stones
Right?
that they took out of the riverbed,
Yeah. No.
one for each tribe.
It's fascinating, isn't it? What do you make of that? I mean, they weren't just, I don't know, just taking rubble out of the riverbed. These were carefully chosen to be more than just markers of a journey.
Okay.
They were meant to be a living memory,
Interesting.
almost like an ancient Instagram post, saying, look what happened here. Let us tell you this story.
So they were creating a tangible reminder for future generations.
Precisely. And I think throughout history, you see this with other cultures using physical objects as mnemonic devices. Egyptians had their hieroglyphs, the Greeks, their statues.
Right.
The TC stones were the Israelites' way of ensuring that their descendants would ask the question, what do these stones mean? And the answer, of course, would be the incredible story of their ancestors crossing the Jordan.
And not just crossing any river.
Yeah.
Right? The Jordan River, this wasn't just a physical barrier, but like a symbolic threshold.
Right. I mean, the Jordan, especially during flood season, was a formidable obstacle.
Right.
So crossing, it wasn't just about geography. It was a deeply symbolic act for the Israelites. It was like stepping through a doorway into a new era, a fulfillment of God's promise to them.
A physical and spiritual transition, and those stones marking it.
Absolutely.
Like they're carrying their history with them as they move forward.
Mm.
They've crossed the Jordan, they've set up camp, they've marked the moment with these stones.
Right.
What happens next? Because we're not even close to being done.
No, we're not even close. And this is where it gets really, really interesting.
Okay.
Because in Joshua 5.2, there's this very specific instruction.
Okay.
Circumcision. And that might seem like a strange detail at first.
Well, especially because I thought this generation, the one born in the wilderness, had already been circumcised.
Right. And that's the thing. This ritual for the Israelites, it wasn't just a physical act.
No.
It signified something much deeper. It was a symbolic rebirth,
Okay.
a renewal of their covenant with God.
So like a fresh start.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A way of saying we're starting fresh. We are dedicating ourselves anew as we enter the promised land.
With me so far, listeners. Because you're not going to believe what happens next.
Oh, it's about to get real.
This is where we get to the walls of Jericho.
Here we go.
Jericho. This legendary city, heavily fortified, practically impenetrable, you'd think. Okay, time for a siege, right?
Right. The standard playbook.
Standard military tactics. But no, the instructions given to Joshua are,
A little unconventional.
to say the least.
Yeah. They're commanded to march around the city once a day for 6 days.
Okay.
With them, they carry the Ark of the Covenant,
With the art.
a symbol of God's presence.
Okay. A little strange, but a silent march. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's not just a casual stroll. This was a calculated act of faith and obedience.
Interesting.
The Israelites were explicitly told not to make a sound until the 7th day.
Wow.
Imagine the discipline that must have taken.
I can barely get through a grocery store trip without humming.
Right.
Okay, so 7th day, what changes?
7th day, they march 7 times around the city.
Okay.
Then the priests blow their trumpets and the people, they shout. And I mean, they let out a mighty shout.
And that's it. Marching and shouting. That's how these supposedly invincible walls come down.
It's such a powerful illustration of the Israelites' trust in something beyond their own understanding, beyond conventional warfare.
Right.
It wasn't about the volume of their shout.
Yeah.
It was about the obedience behind it.
Wow.
It's this reminder that sometimes victory comes in the most unexpected ways.
A victory that even today leaves us with a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Because the walls come crashing down, and then the Israelites are commanded to completely destroy the city, everyone and everything except for one woman and her family.
Right. We're talking about Rahab.
Rahab.
Such a fascinating character in this story.
Yeah, and she's not just spared, right? Her entire family is saved because of her actions. It's a story that feels particularly relevant even today.
So-
This idea of individual choice amidst larger conflict.
Absolutely. Rahab's story is this powerful reminder that even within these grand historical narratives,
Right,
individual choices can have enormous consequences.
right.
She recognized the power of the Israelite God and chose to align herself with them, even if it meant going against her own people.
So she basically switched sides.
Yeah. She did. It was a risky move,
Yeah.
but it paid off.
And in doing so, she not only saves her own life, but the lives of her family.
Exactly.
It adds this whole other layer to the story of Jericho, this idea of faith transcending boundaries of mercy, finding a foothold even in the midst of judgment.
I love that mercy finding a foothold.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful way to put it.
But let's be honest, the destruction of Jericho, even with Rahab's story woven in, raises some challenging questions.
Of course it does. And it's crucial to remember that we are looking at this event through a modern lens with very different ethical and moral frameworks than the ancient Israelites.
Yeah, so how do we reconcile this event, this complete annihilation of a city, with the idea of a just and merciful God?
It's a question that continues to be debated and grappled with by theologians and historians today.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is. The concept of holy war in the Old Testament is complex and multi-layered.
Okay.
For the Israelites, their actions were divinely ordained, a fulfillment of God's promise to give them this land.
Okay.
But it's never portrayed as a straightforward celebration of violence.
So it's more nuanced than that.
Much more nuanced. It's about covenant obedience and this establishment of a sacred space for their faith. The destruction, while commanded, isn't glorified.
Right.
In fact, the Israelites were warned that if they disobeyed God's commands, they would face similar consequences.
Oh, wow.
So there's this sense of, this is a serious thing. This isn't just about, conquering land.
It's about fulfilling a higher purpose.
Exactly.
Wow, it's heavy stuff.
It is heavy stuff. It's a complex and challenging part of the narrative.
Sure.
One that continues to spark reflection and debate even thousands of years later.
Just as those 12 stones were meant to spark questions and conversations generations later. Speaking of which, let's bring those stones back into the picture.
Okay.
We left them standing there as a testament to the Jordan crossing.
Right.
How does Jericho, this challenging victory, connect back to those silent stones?
That is such a great question.
It's like those stones take on a whole other meaning after the fall of Jericho, right?
Right. They're not just about a joyful entry into the promised land anymore. It's almost like a solemn reminder of the cost of that promise.
Because remember what we said about those stones being like an ancient Instagram post?
Right.
Well, imagine the Israelites generations later coming upon those stones and asking the question, what happened here?
Right. What do these stones mean?
The story they'd hear wouldn't just be about the miracle of crossing the Jordan.
Right.
It would also be about the complex victory at Jericho.
Absolutely. It's like those stones hold not just one story, but layers of stories representing different phases of the Israelite journey.
It's like they're carrying their history with them.
Exactly.
Represented by those stones.
And just like those stones prompted them to remember and reflect, they offer us a chance to do the same.
It makes you think about the things we hold on to.
Right.
The objects, the experiences that hold deep meaning for us.
Absolutely. What are our stones, so to speak?
I love that.
What are those tangible touchstones in your life that when you encounter them,
Right.
bring back a rush of memories, emotions, and lessons learned?
It could be anything, really. A treasured photograph.
Sure.
A childhood toy tucked away in the attic.
Yeah.
Even a concert ticket stub. Each one a tangible link to a specific moment. A story that shaped who we are.
Exactly. These seemingly ordinary objects
Right.
become imbued with this extraordinary significance because they represent our own personal crossing the Jordan moments.
I like that.
They mark our own journeys,
Our own stone.
our individual and collective growth.
And those stories, as we've seen with the Israelites, are never simple.
Never.
They're filled with challenges and triumphs, moments of doubt and unwavering faith.
Just like Rahab's story.
Right, exactly.
Tucked within that larger narrative of Jericho.
Makes you wonder about all the other untold stories.
Of course.
The individual lives touched by these events.
Yeah. That's what's so fascinating about studying history. It's not just dates and battles.
Right.
It's the collective story of humanity, woven together by countless individual experiences.
So we've explored the stones, the river crossing, the battle,
Right.
and the moral complexities. What resonates most with you?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There's so much here.
Yeah.
I think for me, it always comes back to the power of story.
Yeah.
These narratives from thousands of years ago, they still have this incredible ability to challenge us, to inspire us,
Right.
to make us think differently about our own lives and our own journeys.
It's like those stones weren't just about the past. They were about the future.
100%.
A reminder to keep telling the stories.
Yes.
To keep wrestling with the difficult questions. Keep searching for those moments of hope and renewal in our own journeys.
beautifully said. And perhaps just like the Israelites used those stones to mark their entry into a new land,
Yeah.
we can use our own personal stones to navigate the complexities of our lives,
Love it.
to find meaning in the ordinary, and to remember that even in the face of overwhelming odds,
Right.
there's always the possibility for growth, for transformation,
Yeah.
and even victory.
So if you were to choose an object representing a significant moment in your life, what would it be? And what story would it tell? Let us know. We would love to hear from you.
That's a great question to ponder.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
Welcome to Charlie and Mia's podcast. We're embarking on an exciting journey to read through the entire Bible in just 1 year. Every day, we dive into Scripture, exploring its meanings and how it applies to our lives today. We invite you to join us on this incredible adventure of learning and discovery. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode.